there. And then, oh, say, got it.
Sorry about that.
Okay. And, I said, for sure, record this for anybody that misses, and you can use it. I'm fine with that. Let me say this, that as we advance through different phones and different equipment, it gets better all the time. There's no question about it. And it's an exciting time to be in photography. I mean, I was a large format photographer, 4x5 and 5x7, in the darkroom all the time. And now our darkroom is right in our iPhones or our cell phones. It's just wonderful. And we can fix the picture a little bit. As Ansel Adams used to say, that he'll say, "Why are you always messing with this picture?" He said, "Well, God doesn't have time for every little thing in my pictures, so I have to do it." And I thought that was kind of cute. And I've been in Ansel's home. What a beautiful place. Saw his grand piano that he used to play on. Been in his dark room, and he was a wonderful man, and I think he left a legacy for all of us, even though it was black and white. He was way ahead of his times, and it taught us a lot. Well, I'm going to get started here, and some things I'm going to show you will not apply to everybody. Okay, that's okay, and I'll be upfront about it. Don't worry about this. Just know that I'm showing over the whole realm, and not just if you have an iPhone 6 or a 7. It'll work there too. Most things, but you won't have all this. The first thing I'm going to do is go up here and touch the word settings. And in the settings, there are a few things that I want to help with the iPhone people, and I do not know how to do this with Androids. But I'm going to scroll down in my settings, not too far, but quite a ways. You get down to music, TV, photos, and camera. And I'm going to touch the one first that says camera, just touch it. And then I have all of these things helping me set what I do with this. And I have changed one just recently. The first one up at the top up here says formats. And you'll touch that. And I work with the high efficiency. Now, high efficiency is different than a JPEG. And JPEGs are okay. They've been around for 20 years. But a JPEG is an 8-bit file, where the high efficiency is a 10-bit file, and it takes up less memory. So that, which is kind of interesting. So if you put most compatible, if you have any problem, and you're always free to, after this workshop, to contact me. I give my phone number out even, and I do answer questions. I do get back to people. But I'm going to stick with the high efficiency here. And then down here, it says Apple Pro RAW. Now, Apple Pro RAW came in on the iPhone 12. And if you choose to shoot a larger file, the advantage of the Pro RAW is that you can do more editing without destroying the picture. So sometimes when we edit, we're taking away from the original image, especially if we crop. And so the less cropping that you have to do, the bigger your file is going to be. If you crop it, it's going to get smaller. So I'll go back now up here. I'm just showing you what I have. If you want most compatible, that's fine. You may not have Apple Pro RAW unless you have a 12 Pro or a 13. And I'll go back to the word camera up here. Okay. And the next thing down here is record videos. And I'm going to turn off my iPad here. Tom Skillings is telling me that there's a tornado watch in our area here. Okay. But record video, I'm going to touch that. And here's all the possibilities that we have. Now, I've been shooting at 4K at 60 frames a second. I have temporarily, and I'll show you why later, but I've temporarily gone back to, if I look down here, it explains each one, and a 65 megabyte file with 1080 high definition at 30 frames a second. This is the default. Now I've got this default because there's a new cinematic mode right in my iPhone now, and it's wonderful. And I'll share that for some of you that may be thinking about getting a newer phone, the 13 Pro, or not. But I have been shooting before that 4K at 60 frames a second. 4K at 60 frames a second is a higher resolution and smoother, or even 4K at 30 frames a second. But my video shooting was just video clips, and I was shooting just a clip where I wanted to be sure that I caught the action, the decisive moment. Got that? The decisive moment. Something was happening. I could anticipate what was going to happen. And I wanted, you know, maybe a grandchild at a T-ball game, and he's just swinging that bat, and just when the bat hits the ball, that decisive moment. There's a lot of decisive moments, and I'll show you a picture of one of my granddaughters blowing a bubble, shooting with bubbles, and I caught that. I can catch that decisive moment with an application. Let me stop some of my
Jerry,
noise.
for 1 second, there was one question. The question was, do all iPhones show record video? Oh, never mind, found out. Okay, he got the answer. He wanted to know if all iPhones show the record video option there in the menu.
Yes, all iPhones record video. Okay.
Okay.
So now I've changed mine back to a smaller because of the cinematic mode. But if I didn't have that cinematic mode, I probably would keep mine at 4K just to do a sharp video clip and catch that decisive moment that something has taken place. And so I'm sharing that with you there. So now, and down below, by the way, where it says right here, show PAL formats, do not use. That is for Africa, Asia, South America, and Europe. Now, if you're going to be in South America for a long time, maybe you would do it, but it's a different setup. So stay away from that entirely. HDR video, I have that turned on. If you have that option, turn it on, and what happens, your phone will actually decide if you need high dynamic range. In other words, so you don't blow out the highlights, or your blacks are so black you can't see anything. It will automatically make a better picture if you have that option. Okay. And then down below here, auto frames per second, automatically reduce the frames rate to improve low light video. Again, it's all about video. Okay. And then if I scroll down even further, okay, lock camera, no, I don't, do not automatically switch between cameras while recording video. I don't know what that's all, I don't even know what that's all about. So now I'm going to go back up here at the top once again and record stereo sound. I have that turned on. So if you're in the settings, you'll do that. Now there's kind of a hidden one here. It's called preserve settings. This is kind of important for all iPhones. And I have all of the others turned off. Now you can play with these, you can study them, and there's just more options, but I have live photo turned on. Now the explanation doesn't make any sense grammatically, but what happens, and I'll show you in a minute, that you now control it, whether it's on. I had a friend, and they were calling from, they go to Arizona every winter. And she said, Jerry, I got a problem. I said, what's your problem? She said, I've got 5,000 live photos. I said, oh my goodness gracious. Oh my goodness gracious. Turn this on. Well, what am I going to do with those other photos? I said, well, that's a problem, because one at a time you'll have to fix it, because you get a little jerk. Live photo is really a 3-second video, and it's handy as a photographer for running water, for mountain streams, for waterfalls, catching lightning striking the top of a building. It takes 1.5 seconds before and 1/2 second after. Don't ask me how it does it. I'm not that technical, but so I would turn that one on. I'll go back to the camera setting up at the top. And
I have a quick question as we go along here. For the folks that have the Android phones, do you have live mode for your photographs? Do you know? Does anyone know?
And if you do, you could just write it in the chat.
yeah, I don't know if they have live mode or not. They have night mode. They do have night mode, which is a wonderful thing, and the newer iPhones have that too, since going back to, I think, 11. Okay.
I just want to say, I'm an Android user, that if I have that mode, I do have night mode, but if I have what you're talking about, I don't know where it is. So
Yeah, I
And maybe
don't think,
something else.
I think maybe it could be some Androids do and some Androids don't.
Mm.
But
Maybe
it's
you-
really a sharp video is what it is.
They may
Okay.
use a different term for it too.
Yeah. Okay, use volume up for burst mode. That's an option. Burst mode is when you don't have a chance to put on a little video. And I have mine turned on, so all I have to do while I'm photographing, I can hold down the burst mode while I'm in the photo mode, and it will do 10 frames a second. So it's a chance to catch that decisive moment. You know, just when that dog turns his head towards you, or this child looks at you or looking around, and you want to capture that special moment. So I have it turned on. Scan QR codes, I have that turned on. Live text. This is, I have it turned on because sometimes somebody will be speaking, and if I can have live text where it comes out in the message, rather than just the talking, I like to have that. Very important. Turn on the grid. What is the grid? Tic-tac-toe game. It's just those light, very light lines in your screen when you take a picture that you can say, wait, am I going to put that photo right in the dead center? Or am I going to put that portrait maybe closer to an intersection of the third usage? And I'll get into some more advantages of that grid also. Mirror front camera, I have it turned off. View outside the frame, Scott Kelby, and that book of Scott's is an excellent book. It's a novel name, the iPhone photography book. You get it on Kindle. You don't want a paperback. Just a Kindle book is fine. But it's all on the iPhone, and I'll quote him a couple times, but I don't use those things. Photographic styles. Prioritize faster shooting. In other words, adapt. Sometimes you're in such a hurry, you don't have time to focus. And we're going to talk about manual focus as well as fast focus. Lens correction, I have it turned on. And we're just about there. We just about covered all of the things in camera. Now I'm going to go up right above camera. I got out of that. I'm going to go to photos. And there's many options here. Now I buy maximum cloud storage. I think my wife buys $2 a month, and then she buys it by the year so she can have a larger storage. The disadvantage of the cloud, okay, is that if you're flying on an airplane and you got airplane mode turned on, you can't be getting your photos that are on the cloud. So there's a disadvantage sometimes. Not much, but it gives you more storage, no question about that. And then because I have that cloud storage, I have optimized the iPhone storage. Download and keep originals, it does it. It already does it. So I don't worry about that. The original picture, you may not like it, and you're going to edit it, but that's your digital negative, that original picture. You don't want to lose that. And we'll talk about that later. Shared albums, I haven't shared any with even relatives or anything. Hidden album, I've got it turned on, hidden album. I don't know why I got it turned on. And as I get down here, cellular data, I won't go into that because everybody has a different plan with your vendor. Autoplay videos and live photos, of course. You don't want to have a video and then you can't play it. That'd be kind of silly. And then again, I have this high dynamic range turned on. Not everybody will have that. Okay. Now there's something new here about memories. Reset suggested memories, reset people suggestions, show holiday events. I have holiday events turned off because I know the holidays that I celebrate, our family, and everybody has different holidays that they celebrate, and that's okay. But if you have that turned on, you're going to have holidays of every country in every nation that they have iPhones. And I don't care how, how people celebrate in India. That's okay, what they celebrate, or maybe Bangladesh or someplace else. But I was just getting too many things on there, all these celebrations. I thought, hey, wait a minute, I'll turn that off. Transfer to Mac or PC. If your main computer is a PC, I will give you an application that you put on the PC and you put it on your Apple phone, and you can transfer these pictures to your PC for additional storage plates. And again, I have automatic transfer. So it automatically will transfer from my Apple phone to my Apple computer. Okay.
Will that app be in the notes that you send, Jerry?
Say it again.
App that you were just talking about, will that be in the notes that you'll send? The app that syncs the PC with the phone.
Oh yeah. Okay. The application is Photo Transfer. That's the name of the application. Photo Transfer, and that's so you can transfer your images to your PC.
Okay.
You put it on the PC, and you can put it on your iPhone or whatever you've got. Photo transfer works. And when you start out with it, just transfer 1 or 2 at a time. Don't try and transfer 50 at a time and get hung up or something. Just try it out, see how it works with you. Okay. Well, I think we're just about there Are there any questions on settings right now?
I can tell you that the 13 is a little bit different because I'm holding a 13. It's
Yeah,
not much different though, not much, very slight. They don't have the live view option on there on the 13.
Yeah. Let me say
Question.
this about 13, and I will get to that today. And 13 is not required on any of your, like on the 12 yet. And quite frankly, I wouldn't put it on the 12 if you're going to get a 13. It comes with it on the 13. It was designed for the 13. If they eventually want you to come up to the fifth operating system, 15.0.1, fine. But right now they don't require it. And why get confused
Yeah.
if you don't have to? It's
I have a question. I have a 12 Pro Max
yes.
and have my 13 on order. All the settings, I had most of them already that you have, but I changed a couple.
Uh-huh.
When I switch phones, will it automatically set up on the new phone the way I have this one set up? Or I have to go through them all each?
No,
again?
for me, it was automatically, it transferred the settings.
Great. Thank
It
you.
automatically transfers it, but Sherry, I found it's not 100% exactly the same, but it's
Yes.
pretty close.
Yeah, let me say this. If you're going to move up from the 11 or 12 to the 13, clean out your junk. And I'm going to show you what I mean by that. Let me get out of this point right now. And I'm going to go up here to photos. I'll go to photos and I'll go to albums. And right up here, see, I've got albums checked at the bottom, not library or for you or search. I got albums selected. And my albums is up here. Recents, they used to call it the camera roll. Then they called it something else. Now they call it recents. That's where I got 14,759 photos. So I'm going to touch that. And there's what I've taken the last couple days here. That's recent. But I'll go to albums. Now I've got one I call here, and if we need to, I'll get into this, whereby how, making albums. You may have an album for grandchildren. You may have an album for family. You may have your album for your vacation trip, or you may have an album for something else. It really helps to separate things out. I have a lot of albums. And you can see here, these are all different albums for different purposes. And I won't go into all mine, but I'll just tell you that now this one is for teaching. And so I set my teaching album so I can go to photos that I'm going to use for teaching. Okay. As we work tonight, I've got some demo ones for night mode. Some fireworks were shot off at 4th of July. And it was just wonderful to see this just 3 houses away from us. It was almost like daylight. And there's some other advantages. Here I did a 4-second video with one of my granddaughters. And I'll do it again. And so it was just a little, her shooting, her blowing a bubble. Now, why did I do that? And I did that on live photo. Because then I could take this application that I have called video space #2 space photo. I can take any video and find just the frame where that bubble is blowing up. And then I turn to black and white and so forth. But it's wonderful that for some of those kinds of things. I'll show it to you what it looks like here. And I'll get into some of these. There's what there. Oop, 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 oop. I didn't want to go that far. Get back out of here. There, but here's what it looks like. Video to photo. And any photo you can, video you can put in, unless it's real long. This is for short video clips. 10 seconds, 15 at the most, maybe 20 at the very most. And then I can take this, and then I can take a video, and let me find one here. Some of my latest videos are people talking. Oh my goodness. I cleaned some of my junk out, but some of this latest stuff is not going to demo this very well. But anyway, let me get back here.
I have a question. When you're talking about cleaning out junk, can we get back to the folders for a minute, the albums? How do you delete an album if you don't want it anymore?
I'll get into that. You can delete them. And by the way, when you put a picture, when you put a picture in an album, okay, it's still in your recent. Your first picture is in the recent. If you take it out of recent, it's going to take it out of the album. But now your question is, how do you get out of albums? How do you throw an album away? It's a little wraparound. But first of all, you want to delete the things out of the album, and then delete it. It's not hard, but I'll just put it that way. For instance, here's one I was just shot this the other day. I've got it's part of my favorites, and that's using live photo. It was a carnival. It was a fall festival at a park district, and our camera club was shooting pictures so that we get a park district facility, which we're not using now because of the COVID. But so I walked through the carnival, and I used live photo, and we'll get into that if somebody's really interested, and then use the long exposure mode. There's different exposures, but as a photographer, the long exposure is what I like. And as you saw in Bob's background that he had there, the waterfalls, they were just that nice milky look. It's just wonderful. And I did some on train. I was doing a series of trains at a large train museum. And I wanted to catch just that second when they started blowing the steam off the engine. And the train wasn't coming after me. I was down on the tracks, did a slow picture of it. But again, that's what I could do. Waterfalls are great. But anything that's got some action, it's so handy. Let me go back here. Okay, now the setups, you may, when you transfer from one to the next model, it'll carry over most everything. It really will. I want to show you something, and I'm going to go to the teach mode here, and I'm just going to pick one picture. Not a great picture. And this is a demo picture. I was out in a country area in the Midwest, and they had a barn tour. And these farmers opened up their barns. Now, there was no smell, there was nothing. It was country fresh air, because in the Midwest, these farmers don't make any money off of cattle anymore or animals. They make it off of corn and soybeans, like this picture here. And this kind of really struck me, how much area between the farms and the farmland. And I shot this picture. It wasn't a great picture, but in fact, the clouds weren't that great. I didn't, this is unedited. It was in Somonac, in DeKalb County. for those of you who are not familiar with the Midwest, the Kalb seed corn is a large corporation, and they make the seeds for farmers planting corn. What's in that county where this little town was, and near there, this is one of the farms we visited. It was fresh country air. There was no pollution at all. No smoke from the western states or anything.
The presentation.
And but anyway, I shot the picture, but now I've got this picture where I can edit it. I'm going to show you something, and this is prior to our doing our group editing together, because I think Androids may have something like it, but Apple does, and many of us are kind of afraid of it. Do you notice up here the word edit? It's called computational photography. That's a word that Jack Davis uses. Jack is a brilliant person, and I've learned he's one of my 3 mentors. And I'll tell you about the mentors later, but I'll just click on edit. And now a handy thing, it says auto. People say, well, I'm afraid of auto. Don't be afraid, touch it. And just by touching it, anytime I see in all these tools here, a little mark like white or yellow around, that means it actually picked all of those tools in the editing process, all those tools. And so I go to the next tool, and this is exposure. It didn't do much to it. The next one said brilliance. It did quite a bit. The next one says highlights. It probably took the highlights down a little bit. The looks of it. Next one says shadows, and it affected that one. Contrast. And by the way, if you're going to use this computational photography, I'll tell you right now, be very careful with contrast. You can destroy a picture with it. And notice it just from the dot there, it's just a few steps away. Brightness, don't have to brighten it up. And the next one here, saturation. The next one is vibrance. I use vibrance more than saturation if you want a true photo. You can get over bound about that saturation. And then warmth, you can warm it up. You can warm it up a little bit. That's opposite, would be cold, or just leave it as neutral. The next is tint. I don't mess with that too much. Sharpness, I do just a little bit. Definition, this isn't like in Photoshop, you have clarity. In the Nik filter, was a Nik filter, Snapseed, they call it structure. Here they call it definition. And that gives you more definition in the details. Next one, noise reduction, a little bit. Next one, vignette. Vignette, if people can see it, that you've darkened the corners of the photo to keep the interest inside the photo. If they see it, then you've done too much. And I did some here. The opposite, of course, well, this one doesn't have an opposite because it's only vignetting down. So I can't go over the line here too much. So then I can hit done. And now what's so interesting about this, I can go back at any time and change something if I've blown out a highlight, or I can say, I don't want any of it. So there's nothing destructive. I can go back to edit, and right down here it says revert. So you can go back and hit revert and start all over. Or you can go back and pick any of those tools and change it. And later I'll edit an infrared picture that I shot in here and show you how I edit that. Many of us have infrared converted cameras, but I don't have to carry those cameras around if I don't want to, because I can just add on an infrared filter to my phone. I'll hit revert to original. And so now nothing was lost, never lost a thing. And that's, I'm showing you this because it is fast. And if you don't have to do little tiny things like we're going to do today, and send it off and just touch it up, it's a good way to go. Okay, let's get to the big work. I'm gonna open my photo here. And this is,
Jerry, I just had one question. One of the things that might be a concept that everybody can understand is about non-destructive, because you always hear that term that you can always reverse what you did. And that showed a perfect example of it. So anything you've ever done, you ever edit, whether it's in an app or right in the native app of an Apple phone, is pretty much reversible.
that's right.
That's
That is correct. In other words, I didn't lose 1 pixel. I could just go back there, take it all away, and I have not lost a pixel.
right. And in that edit, you could have changed even just one thing you didn't like and still would have had all the others, right? Even in the auto.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
I could edit just one little piece, just one
Mhm.
little thing, and come back to it.
Yeah.
And so you can jump around if the highlights are too much. You can. It's not that you have to do step, 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 lock, step, but that's one way to do it. Now, I want everybody to bring up this image. This is one of the images that I sent, and bring this up. And I'm not going to hit edit though. I'm going to do something else. Now, I brought this up, and I'm going to go down to the bottom and push up from the bottom. Oops, I'm sorry. Photos. Right here on the bottom, there's an arrow with a box. We'll touch that. And then it says copy photo. Very important. Because now we're going to do serious editing. Copy the photo. Copy the photo. Okay. Now I'm going to push up, and I'm going to go over here where I have Snapseed right here in this box. And I can just touch Snapseed, or I can hold my finger on it and it opens up, and see what it says here? Paste image. It skips a step. So I'm gonna get out of there. So I showed you a shortcut before I showed you the regular way. Now I'm going to show you the regular way. Hit Snapseed. Then it says open, or tap anywhere to open a photo. Where? Okay, I touch it. It says allow photos to all photos. And then down below here, because I copied it, it says paste image. If you're just hunting around, you would open from device. But paste image, so I'll paste that image in. And now I've got it in Snapseed. Now, how do I know? Looks, tools, export at the bottom. And then up here, let me move this out of my way so I can see here. Up here, I have open for another one. I have what they call the stacks. I call it the layers. Here I have information about the picture. And there it says March the 1st, 2017, Wednesday, and so on. So it gives some of the metadata. And then over the 3 dots over here, and you can do this on your own later, but look now. Down here, I touch it, tutorials. So there are 28 different tools in Snapseed. And they're wonderful, but you may never use half of them, but you want to explore them anyway. Help and feedback and settings. So I'm gonna get out of that. Go back here. So now, because if everybody's got Snapseed open in Androids, iPhones, whatever you got, they pretty much all look alike. There's a few things in Android, and I'll show you later. But looks are presets, and you can play with presets. It does a whole bunch of things with it, but we're going to work on the tools today. So you learn something how to use these tools. Touch a tool here. Okay, now I've got all of these tools. And within each tool, there may be, here I'll touch tune image. And then I've got all of these different tools within a tool. There's different things. So I'm going to get out of that. Oh, I'm sorry, I hit the X. I wanted to get out of that. Now I'm going to tell you to start out, I'm going to save you time. And everybody can develop their own workflow, but there's the part that I'm showing you now. And by the way, this is in my speaker notes. I'm looking at these skyscrapers on the Chicago River here. And let me tell you, they spent billions of dollars to make those skyscrapers. They're not leaning, but in this picture, they are leaning. This is a terrible picture. One of my students, I told him I'd never tell her name. I should have said I didn't tell his or her name. But they're leaning. And when you got something like this, you want to fix that first. Because if I've got to crop this picture, the top and the bottom. But if I cropped it first and then fixed it, I may have cropped off too much. And then I've got to fix this. I'll be cropping off too much. So when you've got, let's say you got the ocean, you go out to the beach and the ocean is going uphill or downhill. Fix that first. Get that fixed first. And that's what we're going to do. So we're going to go to tools down here, right here. And the tool that does this is called perspective. And we want to straighten those out. So we're going to hit perspective. We're not going to crop it. Hit this one. And I'm going to touch it. And then I got different things in the bottom down here. Well, I'm not going to do free or scale or tilt. I'm going to go rotate. So now it's highlighted in blue. So now if I look at that tit-tat-toe game here, you can see that skyscraper is crooked. So I'm going to kind of use that edge of that skyscraper right there to help me do this. I'm going to just touch the thing on the bottom. You get those tools out of the way. I'll do that again. I don't want to see these right now. So I just touched in the picture any place, got them out of the way. Now I'm going to take my finger, and by the way, I'm not going to take my finger off yet. I'm just going to hold my finger down and start pushing until I see that line. I know it's kind of small. I apologize for using this, not my iPad, but not everybody's got an iPad. Okay. And so you can see now it's pretty darn straight. And then the skyscraper in the middle is pretty well lined up. Now, if I take I'm not going to take my finger off yet, because you see at the bottom down there, that black spot at the very bottom, there's like a black line down there, and the black line on the bottom left and right and top. When I take my finger off, this is just like Photoshop, content aware fill, and it fills up. Bingo. Amazing. This is one of the most amazing things, one of the many in Snapseed. So I pretty well fixed that crookedness, because the whole picture was yankety to the side. Now I have to lock it in. I didn't say save the picture. I'm not saving it yet. But down here is the check mark. And that's to say, lock it in, Jerry. So I touched that check mark and that locked it in. So that's one step that's done. So now, as I look at this picture, the whole bottom here is a mess. We clean that up, but then we'd have to, it's just a mess. And of course, this is a mess. So I'm definitely going to crop that off. Now I'm going to crop. Then up here, I'm going to crop, but I don't want to crop too far. If I cropped all the way down here, I don't have no room at the top of the skyscraper. So I'm not going to crop all of that off because I've got another tool to fix that. So I'm going to go to the tools, and the crop is right up here for now, right there. Should be there or someplace around here. Okay, I'll hit the crop tool. Now again, I'm going to touch the photo. And by the way, the crop I'm going to do is free crop. Now, if you were a scrapbooker, you'd probably do 3:2, or which is really 6 or 4:6. And you can do all these others, but today, just follow me and believe me. And so we have complete freedom. I'm going to touch it, so it's blue, and we're going to use the free crop. So we can crop as much as we want. I'm going to touch the screen, get it out of the way. And I'm just going to take my finger at the bottom of the picture and start pulling it up. I got plenty of water there. I'm going to save time, and there's a lot of junk in there. And then I'm going to pull down from the top, but I'm not going to pull down too far. I'm going to leave that right up there because I'm going to give some room in that skyscraper to have some sky up there. Let me bring it down just right here. Not too much. So then now I wanted to crop it. I got to come down to the bottom, touch the arrow down here, touch it, and it's cropped. Okay, now we still got that bad spot up there. What am I going to do? Well, I'm going to go into Tools, and there's one that's similar in Photoshop or Photoshop Elements, Healing. Now, healing doesn't always work, and that's why we have the other one, Touch Retouch, which has a clone tool. But here, healing will work because I'm just going to go up here and rub there. And it pretty well kicks it out. Oh, I went too far. Now, I notice I've been playing around up there, and that looks okay. But if I went too far, see this little back arrow here? Like if I went up and went too far, I don't like that. Then I hit the back arrow once, and there it is. I don't like that one spot up here in the corner, that white spot. I'll probably take that out too. So it looks kind of natural. So now what I've done, and by the way, this backs off what I was doing. So you don't have to, well, I'll show you in a minute. So then I lock it in. So now I've done two major things. And to show you what I've done, I'm going to go right up here at the top. They call it the stacks. Like the stacks of things here and the curved arrow. I touch it with me. And then I go down to the bottom where it says View Edits. Touch View Edits. And look at that. There's the original picture. Then we did perspective. And then we did crop. And then we did healing. Now let's say that I didn't like what I did with the healing. So there's a little caret aiming to the right. I touch it. And there is a brush. It's a brush tool. I hit the brush tool. And so now, I can go back in there, and down below it says healing 100%. So now I can go back in here and do that. Okay. By the way, this is turned on here, right here, so you can see where I've gone. And so now I still don't like it there. And what I could do, I can go back up here and clean that off, or I can go back in again and just take it right here. Oops. Now I really messed it up. So what I'm going to do here, I'm going to take this healing and touch it. And there is a trash can. Trash can. And now I want to get out of here. So I have to go up here, get out of those stacks, What's that? And I'm going to do healing again. So I go to tools, healing, up here, and there I am. So it gives you a chance to play a little bit. And then I have to lock that in right there, lock it in. Now we've straightened the thing out, we've cropped it, we took out that bad spot. Now I'm going to show you a trick. And if you didn't know this, I don't care if you're using Photoshop, if you're using Photoshop Elements, you're using any other thing to edit your photos. This works. It's just wonderful. If you want to make that sky stand out, what do? Take down the highlights. That's all you do is pull down the highlights. So I'm going to go to Tools, touch here. And the very first one is called Tune Image. Touch there, okay? And now, oh, by the way, down below down here, very at the bottom, if I touch that at the bottom right there, it gives like a bar graph. But if I touch that bar graph, it's sort of a histogram of this picture, okay? Now, down here, I can touch that, and that shows all the different sliders I can use. I can use brightness. Now, brightness affects the whole picture. I don't want to do that. I just want to affect the highlights. Just the highlights or the shadows. Now, there's one other here that does both of them, and I'll show you that in a minute. But I just want to pull down the highlights. So I'll click on highlights. I can take the highlights here, touch it with my finger, and just go from right to left. And you don't want to overdo it, but I'm just going to pull down enough that it makes that sky stand out. Okay? That's all I did. I pulled it down. In fact, the numbers up here say 58. I don't worry too much about numbers. It's your eye, what your eye tells you, what you want. Numbers comes in handy sometimes, but for the most part, I don't do numbers. It's what I like or what you like. It's your picture. Do with what you want. Now, I've got to lock that in. So I got to go down here in the corner and touch that, lock it in. So now I'm just going to put my finger on the photo, touch it and hold it down. There's where we started. There's where we are now. I just held it down on the picture. There's where we started. There's where we are now. Now, can we do some more to this photo? Oh, we can do a lot more. In fact, if you're satisfied, but we won't be satisfied today because I want you to teach you a couple more tools here. And so one of the things, and I'm going to show you this, and what it's called, I'll go to Tools, I'll go into Tune Image again, one up here, okay. And I'm going to go down to the one that's called Ambiance. Now, ambiance can go either way. One way, it darkens up the shadows and opens up the highlights. No, it darkens the highlights and opens up the shadows. If I go the other way, it does the opposite. So if I pull from I've got it here. So now if I pull from the right to the left, okay, it does one thing. Now if I pull from the other way, it does the opposite. So now, see, I'm making that shadow show up again, and I'm also opening up the shadows. So I'm going to go back. I'm going to right here, lock out of there, just for fun. I'm going to go in here and view edits, and I'm going to take out Tune Image, just trash it. And then I've got to get out of here touch up there at the corner. I'm going kind of fast, I know. Go to tools, to an image, and what I'm going to do, I'm going to go up here to ambiance. It says up here top. So I'll try one way. That's not a good way. Try the other way. And notice, again, not only am I adjusting the sky, but I'm bringing out details in the bottom part here of that skyscraper and a little more opening in the water where the reflection is in between the skyscrapers. So it's actually doing two things. And so you play with this on your own, on some of your own pictures. And so instead of actually doing highlights and shadows different, not brightness, that affects the whole thing. But now I'm going to lock this in. So I've showed you two ways to do things here. One is use two tools or use one. And I always try the ambiance, because one of the other ways is going to work. And it may. If it's too much fussing with you, that's okay too. Okay, now, we're really just about finished with this image. I see a spot over here that my eye goes to because it's so bright. And sometimes, that's a fault of the picture. And I can work on that a little bit because we have a brush tool. So I'll go down to tools at the bottom. And up here is the brush tool. Touch the brush tool. And it says dodge and burn. Now this is a term used way back in the darkroom days, if you ever played around in the wet darkroom. To burn something, you're burning it darker. To dodge something, you're making it lighter. So right here, it's got a +10. That means it's going to make it brighter. But if I touch this down arrow, just keep going down and go to -10 or -5. I'm going to go to -5. Now, this is not going to hurt the picture, but I'm going to take my two fingers and I'm just going to squeeze it off to make the tool smaller. And I'm going to start rubbing over here. And I'm doing the 5. I'm doing the 5 because if you do the 10, it may go too fast. Now that shadow there, I could bring that out. I could touch the other thing and go up to 10 and bring out a little in the shadows, just a little bit there. I'm doing this all on my finger. You can get a stylus to do this. They're really cheap now, but I'll lock this in. So I showed you another tool. I took the over brightness off of it. And and I see something right here. See this little line right here? That the building was cut off. That little line is kind of useless. And I could probably take that off with what tool? Well, probably you could take that off with the healing tool. You got to be kind of careful. You don't go too far. Let's try it. Blow it up first. Oh, Back off. I screwed something up here. So I'm going to blow it up. I'll do it from down below down here. Now I'm just going to take my finger and get that off. That's all I did. And then go over here and lock it in. So if you can find some imperfections in your own images that you want to do, this is a good way to start. Now, here is where some of the Androids are a little different. So let me explain. Not a big problem. But now we have to export this thing. So we hit export and we have 3 options. With the Apple, we want to save as a copy. Now this says save and changes so you can undo. I also ask for permission to modify the photo. That's a second way. But I always use on the Apple, save a copy. Export creates a copy with permanent changes. Then you can't change your mind next week, on that photo. You can't come back and change it. But you can come back and change all this stuff. That's what's wonderful.
Jerry, I had a quick question. Before you leave this, is there a way to view the original without any of the edits at all? So you can kind of go back and forth to see what, how you can do that in some programs, like when before you.
Okay, now, say that, Bob, say it again. I couldn't hear you.
So is there a way you can view the original without removing all the edits that you did, but just say, go back and forth, look at the original, like from after you've made the changes? I'm saying you've made the changes and now you're saying, how does this look compared to the original with all the changes you made? Is there a way to view the original, then click back and forth? In Snapseed.
Yes, actually,
You can see it in the copy in the camera roll. You can. I'm saying.
Just hold your finger on it. Just hold your finger on it. It goes back, doesn't it?
Yeah,
Right.
yes, it does. Yes, it does.
That's why I brought it up. I just wanted to make sure.
Yeah.
Oh,
But if I'm not going to save a copy
Right,
because I keep using this thing over and over.
sure.
But then because then I have to erase it. But you can go ahead and save it, because then you can do exactly what Bob was saying. You can go back, open it up again in Snapseed. And if you save as a copy, you can change it. Now I'm going to get out of this.
But what
here.
about the Android users? Can they save as a copy?
I sometimes
How about you, Barry?
You do the save, and the Android doesn't. You can fix it. You'll still have the original.
Yes, yes, you can save on Android as a copy.
Oh, good. That's an improvement. That's new. That's good. Wonderful. By the way, Google bought all of the Nik filters. Wonderful filters, wonderful plugins. And they bought it for one thing, for Snapseed, because they knew this would be universal for any kind of a cell phone. And it's free. You didn't pay anything for it, but it's so good for doing these complicated things. And I'm going to show you one more. This I'm going to be a little sloppy here, but this is just to watch this. I can go to tools, and one of the tools down here says black and white. Okay. Now I can turn this into black and white. So I'll just touch it. And then I got choices in black and white. I've got neutral, contrast, bright, there's contrast. Sometimes black and white, you need a little snap to it. That's probably better than bright or dark or film or dark, whatever, but I did that. Now I can do other things out here too, because I can touch this. And this is back from the days of film, when we sometimes, to make a sky black, we would put a red filter on or a yellow filter. Now you've got to be an old timer like me to remember this, but that's what we did. We had black and white film, but we wanted to make it look more like Ansel Adams. We would use one of these filters to do it. So I'll touch. So see what that one does. This one does. This one does. They all do different things. Whoa. Looks like the yellow one is kind of, my taste is about the best. So isn't this interesting? Now I'm just showing you this, and then I'll lock it in. So I'm just showing you this for this reason. Let's say you just wanted part of the picture black and white. Oh. So tools. Oh, I'm sorry. No. Go up here to stacks. I'll go, just watch me do this. Go up to the stacks, view edits. Okay, now black and white. So now what I'm going to do with the paintbrush, and I know the paintbrush is turned on, so I know where I'm going here, because it's blue. And this is a reversal thing here. So I want to paint it black. Okay. I'm gonna start doing this here, and this is real sloppy. Okay, real sloppy. And so I painted those skyscrapers black. So you could have a picture, and let's say it's an antique car from the car show. You wanted to make that car to stand out. You'd fix it like we just been doing, and then you could paint the whole thing black. And then put this on here and just play and leave the car in color and paint around it in black. So you'd have a black background, and that car would be that beautiful, yellow or green or whatever. So it's another option. I took all the color from those skyscrapers away. Now I've done this for a demo, but because what I'm going to do here, trash this, and then I'm going to get out of here, because now what I'm going to do, I'm going to sharpen those skyscrapers, but you don't want to sharpen a sky. Agree? Okay, because then it's not natural. So I'm going to go to tools. Okay, and one of the tools up here is called details. And in details, I've got structure, that's mid-tone contrast, that's the same as clarity. And so I could go a little structure, and then I push my finger up, and I can go sharpening, or I could hit it down here and get sharpening. Now, I want to sharpen those skyscrapers. Whoop, sharpen. Okay. I did wrong. This one wrong. You do it again. Tools, details, and so I'm gonna sharpen here. Do sharpening, and I'm gonna sharpen the heck out of it. You won't see it because it's hard to see on a small thing, and then lock it in. But I don't want to sharpen the skies, so I go up here, view edits, and details, brush. So now I'm only going to paint over here and sharpen this down here a little bit. I'm going fat, sloppy. So now only that was sharpened and not the sky. Does that make any sense? It gives you another option. Yeah, you don't want to sharpen the sky. It's going to be unnatural. And then, of course, I can go up here. Okay. Okay, our time is going fast. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Let's get out of this one now. And one way to do it is go to open up at the top up here. Open image, open. And open, and I didn't save anything, so I can say open from device. So now I've got to go to albums, teach, and pick that old barn. See, I've gone kind of fast here, but I'm showing you another way to do this, because where you put these photos, and because I put these in a teaching thing here, it was easy to find mine. I hope you can find yours. And that's one way to do it. The other way, go back, get out of this, go to Snapseed. And because I know it's in here, I could touch this right here, and I could say use, because I know where it's at. Okay.
Jerry, just one quick question before you go on. It was an important one. It says, where did it save the image to? Doesn't it save it right next to, if you save the copy right next to where the other image was? The original? When you exit and save a copy.
It usually does.
It
Correct.
should do that, right? Yeah, it should save it right.
It saves it right next to the other one.
Wherever that original copy was brought in from.
You don't have to hunt all over the.
Right. Yeah, because somebody had asked that, that's all. Okay.
Yep. And I'm going to show you why I wanted you to have this one. Now, this is a terrible photo, and I'm not going to prove it that much, but I'm using it for a demonstration. Notice how the peak touches up there. Oh, I don't like that, but that's another tool, by the way. Expand. I can go in here and then maybe pull it up a little bit, just a little bit, and lock it in. But I can see that there's a little messy up there. I'll have to fix it. But I'm just showing you that's the expand one. And it's kind of hard to use. But what I really wanted you to get in here, and the tools here, and I touch tools, the bottom. Oop, 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 oop. Okay, I'm sorry. Yeah, I got ahead of myself. I didn't want you to do that, but see, I can use Snapseed on this, and I can use Touch Retouch on it. Now here's Touch Retouch, and I'm going to start with Touch Retouch, and then go to Snapseed and do some of that other stuff. So I'll go to Retouch right here. Go to albums, and because I didn't save it there, so I'll go to I can't go to paste image. I think no. Cancel. Okay, albums. Just a minute here. Okay, I gotta go backwards here. I screwed up. Sorry. So I'm going to go to my photos, go to this image right here, and go down here, copy it. I copied the image. Now I go out of here. I go to where I have my retouch here, retouch, paste image. Oh, or can that be open? When is the one that I did wrong here? Whoop. A snafu, Jerry. Retouch. Albums. Okay, albums. And so now I got to go through all my albums here and go to teach. Okay, so after I did something wrong. Jerry screwed up. If you're already ahead of me, just wait for me and I'll catch up here. I know what I did wrong. Cancel. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to go from the bottom, just close this off here. Got too much stuff open. Okay. So now I'm going to go into my photos, my albums, teach, go to this, and copy the photo. Copy photo. I've copied that photo. Now I go up here and go to Touch Retouch, hold it down, and it should say continue. Albums, paste image. Oh, teacher screws up.
It was just
Oh.
it was just slow or something.
I don't know what I did wrong, but I did it. Okay. Now the reason I had you get this, because invariably, and you can see up here, there are lines, power lines all over the place. You know, you go see this beautiful building. This you know, you've gone all the way to Iceland or someplace, and there, right in front of the building, there's a power line. Probably they won't have it in Iceland, but any place, and you want to take it out. This has a line removal to it, and it works pretty well most of the time. And then it says line removal, segment removal, and settings. Now that's a thin line. So I'm going to be sure that I have it set on thin. Okay. So all I'm going to do is take my finger and rub it. Did you see that? It's gone. Now you gotta be kind of careful sometimes. There's one down here. There's some in here. There's one over here.
That
And-
was very exciting.
Mhm.
Is that amazing? It's great. Because, you know, I've been to some neat places, some historic places in Indiana or Illinois, or up in Door County where I used to teach all the time. And right there is this power line, these telephone poles and power lines. And to take them out is just wonderful. Now, there's an arrow down here at the bottom because I want to do some more. Because, you know, maybe I see a clone stamp. Now remember, a clone stamp will take something out or put something in. People say, well, it just takes stuff out. Not necessarily. Let's see if I put this clone thing down here and I just rub up here, rub all around. I put another window in. Okay. Now maybe I want to take this window out here and take this one out. Okay. So I've got to put something in. I'll put the material of the barn up here. Or maybe even right in here. Now this is a little tricky. I'll go down here like this. I move it back up here, take it down. I got to keep moving so I keep a similar characteristic. Move it up here. So I can use it to remove something or put something in. Now this takes a little practice. Okay. And are there other tools that you can use to help you? Rad Drew, R-A-D, Drew got me onto this. And I'll hold it up here. You can charge this thing up. It lasts for quite a while. I haven't charged it up today, but you can just take off the end of it and you it comes with a little cord. You plug it in and charge it up. And the beauty about it, it's a tip. It just rubs real small. And so sometimes when it's a really important picture, like a historical picture in your family or something, and you want to take something off, and you're in a mobile situation, you're not carrying your computer on this vacation. Of course, you're in vacation land anyway, down where you guys live. But so this really works. But down here, there's one that's called eraser. So if you make a mistake, there's a quick repair, object removal. Let me try that object removal. And then say go. Not bad. Go. So I took that one out. So the object removal works. There's a lasso tool here. Everybody knows what the lasso tool is. Lasso this one here. And then it selects it. Go. Okay. So for taking out or moving something, you know, like you could take somebody and put and clone their eyeball and put it in their forehead. You got three eyeballs in the head, but that's put something in. But sometimes I may have a garden with this one spot that's bare, and I use this to clone some of the flowers and put them to cover up that bare spot or grass. And it's a handy tool to have. And that's why we have this thing, is for both the clone tool and the line removal tool. And by the way, this also comes with And there's some things on Facebook. You can put in touch retouch. And some tutorials there and the tutorials elsewhere. If you're really interested on learning more about both of these, Snapseed and Retouch, on YouTube, if you look up, and by the way, this will be in your notes, Rad, R-A-D, I think his real name is Radcliffe, but he goes by Rad. Last name is Drew, D-R-E-W, on YouTube. And then he has How I Did It. He has things all over the place, different tools like Image Blender, blending two images together. That's another application. In other words, this Distressed FX, a great application. The best one is Distress FX Plus, because everything is free, and you can put your own. You can take pictures of beautiful skies. You want to add a sky to something. This is a great way to do it. Textures. I'll show you in some of them. I have some favorites. I'm in Teach right now, but let me go to favorites here.
Jerry, those
Yes.
3 things that you just mentioned about Rad Drew and How I Did It, you have those sort of things in your notes?
Yes, it's in my notes.
Good.
It's
And
in my
also,
notes.
Eric, you had your hand up. Did you want to ask a question?
Actually, it wasn't related to a topic here, so I'll hold off on that for now.
Okay.
Okay,
But thank you.
okay, yeah, and we can hold it off to the end. Okay. What is it, 5:30, Bob? You're muted, Bob. Am I going too far?
No, not at all. I have it scheduled till 6, so if
Okay.
you continue
Okay,
a little bit, we can keep
okay,
going. Yep.
okay,
If
okay,
anybody
good,
can't stay, they could always. get
good,
it.
good,
This
okay.
is the end later.
Got some more time here. Let me show you in my favorites. For instance, here, this was a flower. I put my grandson's wife, who was a wonderful baker. I put her in with the flower. That was with Image Blender.
Ooh.
Here's one. And again, I'll show you the favorite. This is one where I've taken there's live photo. This is in the L downtown Chicago. It's an elevated train. And just pushing live photo as the L went by, that streak is from the train in live photo. Live photo is kind of a fun thing. Here's another one. I was in this church where this group was meeting, this club was meeting in this church. And I think people sometimes give churches the junk they don't want. And the piano kind of played, but keys were missing, everything. I did a panoramic. And then as I walked by for the panoramic, I just took my camera, went like this. Let's get out of here.
Intentional camera movement, right?
And just a camera movement, yeah. In the panoramic. So I'm showing you this because there's fun things you can do. This is in downtown Chicago. It was designed by Burnham, and then it's the Rookery, and then Frank Lloyd Wright came along and put marble stairs in, and you kind of lay down and look up. That's looking up. Here's another one I'm going to show you. Up in Door County, the Scandinavians, when they moved there, the Norwegians and Swedes were fishermen. And they brought with them a thing called fish boil, where they would boil these fish in this pot. And then when they knew the fish were done by a certain time, they'd take kerosene and throw it on the fire, and the fire would go over to the top, blow up, and it'd burn off the fish oil. And the boil master is running away. I did this with about a 10-second video. And then that application, video space to photo, and this is in my notes too, I can harvest off that single frame to catch that decisive moment. I'm showing you this because this is some of the things that it's amazing what you can do.
Jerry, a quick question about that. Does that give you the same resolution as if you were taking one individual photo? In other words, could you print from that as well as you could from a
Yeah,
regular?
yeah. You know, if you did that burst mode, you may catch it, you may not.
Right.
But I'm doing that sharp photo, I can find that exact spot
Right.
just where that, or my granddaughter blowing bubbles, just where the bubble right before it pops, I can take it off of there. And so that's definitely.
But it's going to give you the same
something
resolution as if you took an individual picture.
Well, what I did with when I do those things, I take the resolution up to 4K at 60 frames a second.
Okay.
But now with this new iPhone, I'm experimenting with the cinematic, and you just use the default thing. They may change that eventually, but I'm just showing you. And like here, that was taken at a carnival, and there was actually people splattered against that wall as the thing goes around. But I'm catching the action in that live photo, that 1.5 second thing. And I use the long exposure mode, just like Bob did on his waterfalls right there. And by the way, because that's an Apple thing, you can go into apple.com/live photo, and they'll show you just how to do it. Apple.com live photo, and they show exactly how to do it. So that's another little tricky thing there. They're pretty transparent, and this is this video to photo that I use to catch that 10-second thing, but I use the highest resolution as I can. Okay. I want to show you one more thing. I have the Apple phone, and right now I have the Apple silicone case. Now this is the craziest thing. It's almost a dumb thing, but I'm telling you about it. But it works, and it's cheap. Okay, and you can spend more money, and but I'll tell you right now, I learned this from Rad Drew, and it works because I can take with that silicone case. Let me get my little bag over here. And in my bag, I take out this, what it is, it's an infrared filter. I got a little filter thing on it here. And this is, I buy this one from a company in Utah. And if the company makes infrared filters, and they do conversions just like LivePixel does, but it's well, it's in my notes, and I'll get it to you. And this is a standard color, 720 nanometer. This one Tony Sweet uses on his conversions, but I put it on here and I push and twist.
Do you have a quick example of what an infrared looks like? A picture taken in with an infrared?
And so I can stick that on there
Mhm.
and then go take a picture. Shut up, Siri, I did something wrong here. So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to show you an infrared filter that I took here recently. And I haven't even put my favorites yet, but I'll put recents in here. and was a week or so ago. And I shot this picture, and there's an infrared picture, what it looks like. Isn't that interesting? And now look at this. I can actually go up here to edit in the edit mode. Edit, hit auto, and it does all those tricks. And then I could go all the way over here to saturation and take the saturation all the way down to nothing and take the vibrance down to nothing. And I have an infrared black and white picture. I'm showing you this because it is so darn easy. And I've got a friend who has an Android, and he's tried the same thing. He's able to do this, but I could do this in Snapseed too. I can touch it up in Snapseed. Now, all I did was hit that automatic, take the color all the way down. Now I can say done. Now I can take this in the Snapseed and do my little twisty thing. So I'll down here, copy photo, and I'll go up to Snapseed, hold it down, shortcut, paste the image. And now tools, brushes. Let's say I want to brighten up a little bit, maybe just 5. I want to brighten up some of the stuff here. I'm going to brighten up the grass and the trees here, right here. Maybe I want to take down the sky a little bit, -5. It's just amazing. And I've got a decent infrared picture. This is the Des Plaines River up. It starts way up in Minnesota and comes down through Wisconsin and then down to Illinois and on down to the big rivers. But this is where they put in canoes. It's a canoe launch area. It's a free Lake County, Illinois canoe launch or something. And there are people sitting around fishing and so forth. I just shot this the other day. And I don't have to go into Photoshop, switch the blue channel to red and the red channel to blue, switch channels, do all that stuff. This is how easy it is to do. It's just amazing. And I just did that, but I'm going to show you in photos here, albums. I've got an album I call Infrared. And, you know, here's one I did in the Chicago Botanic Gardens. This is real stark. And I may be almost too stark, but you see wherever there's chlorophyll, it turns white or light gray. And where it's like a blue sky, it'll turn black. And I can control that. Here's the Serpentine Bridge. Sky was not as good. That was a better day with the sky. Those are tulips out there. But because the tulips, and they were some were blue, some were, because it's chlorophyll, they turn white. Now, not everybody likes this. And I'm showing you some of these. Here's the bridge into the Japanese gardens there. I caught one of my days at the gardens. They have one area and there's over 350 crabapple trees. And it's like walking through an avenue here. It's just fun. But it's so easy to edit. Now, there's a little more complicated way to do this. And if you're really interested in infrared, you go to Rad A. Drew Photography. He's got a whole thing in there about it because there's other tools. I can take this case off and do it the regular way and put a Moondog Lab case on, or I can put another case on. There's a whole bunch of ways. In fact, Bob, I will send you, besides the program notes, I'll send you a separate email all on how I do infrared black, or how to do infrared black and white.
Well, that'd
And
be
it's
great.
just a short little thing, because there's other ways to do it besides this crazy way that I'm doing with using a silicone case and actually spreading it on here. The quality is pretty darn good. In fact, I turned this sideways. There it is, sideways. And you can kind of see it's pretty good quality. And if you want higher quality and blow it up, then what I do, I put this in Topaz Gigapixel, and then go Topaz Studio 2 and put denoise and a few things if you want to blow it up real big. 16 by 20 or on 17 by 20, 22 paper. Anyway.
Yep, Jerry, I had a question. It's going to change topics a little bit, but you had this on your list of possible topics to discuss. I don't know if anybody's interested in printing directly from your mobile device. You said that you might touch on that. Is that a long topic, or I'm sure it's probably.
No. Ask me any topic. In fact, let's do questions now.
Okay. All righty. So it's a good time. If anybody has a question, you can unmute and ask away. No questions?
Hi, this is Eric. Oops, sorry, that's my dog. I do have a question. Is there limitations as far as blowing up the pictures to a larger portrait size, 30 by 40? Do you have some recommendations where you don't lose pixels?
I use the Topaz standalone. I use it as a standalone. I don't use it through Photoshop. I have the big Photoshop program. I have Lightroom. I do it separate. But I found that Gigapixel, and I can blow it up, double it, I can triple it, I can quadruple it. Rad Drew has blown some things out from an iPhone photo and had printed out a 4-foot by 7-foot print, had a company printed out for a huge thing on the wall. It's amazing.
Did you have any
He
special
used
settings
it.
on your phone?
From a phone, yeah.
No, but as far as, are there any settings, or is just the standard settings?
No, that's using Topaz.
Topaz.
It's going out of mobile photography now, using Topaz. Now
Topaz doesn't have an app for your phone. You have to go onto a computer to do it.
That's right.
Yeah. So
Okay.
I just wanted to know that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not an app for the phone.
So you
And-
take the picture with your phone and then you go to the app on your computer to use that picture in Topaz. Okay.
Got it.
To get a big quality.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, thank
Now, I
you.
will say this. Are any of you using Lightroom? Raise your hand.
Attempting. Attempting.
Okay, well,
I do.
if you're a heavy Lightroom user, there is a free application from Adobe, and it's called Adobe Lightroom Mobile. And there are some people that are using the Lightroom Mobile to take the picture and do some editing on it. I find the editing kind of awkward for me, so I don't do it. I'm just being honest with you. But if you're really good at Lightroom, that is another way to do it. Now, also, I'll have to admit, one of my tools, I'll hold it up here, is I have the Apple iPad 12.9 inch, the big thing. And it comes with an electronic pencil for $100 or something, but it's a stylus. I guess I've got that on the dining room table. But when I put my pictures in the iPhone, they automatically transfer to the iPad. And if I want more real estate to do editing, that's where I do it. But I'm showing you on the phone because that's what we all have, a cell phone. and we do a lot of this editing on here. But the iPad, I don't have the newest one. The newest one is more expensive, but I do have the 12.9 inch. And, you know, I also have it comes with this, buy the special little carriage where it's a regular stand. I read the newspapers in the morning, the ones I want to read. I get tired of some of the news today, so I don't read as much as I used to.
So Jerry, do you print your own pictures directly from your mobile device with a certain app, or how do you have a printer for at home that you do it with, or do you send to a lab?
You know, I am pretty much a mobile person right now. It's terrible. My main big camera, I have a Panasonic Micro Four Thirds,
Mhm.
and I have both Olympic and Panasonic lenses. And that's about as big as I want to carry. You know, I was born in 1938, so I'm older than most of you folks. And I don't like to carry heavy things around anymore. I'm going to go to a Chicago open house, and a fella's rented a bus for 20 people. And everybody on there has had their shots, and we wear a mask on the bus. We're going to go to 8 different stops of the Chicago open house on Saturday, the 16th. And I probably will be the only one there carrying only an iPhone. And I can do panoramics, I can do wonderful things. And this one professional photographer, retired professional, says he gets embarrassed because sometimes I get better pictures than he does. But I have limitations, of course. If I was really concerned about it, I'd have a little bag for one lens on a Micro Four Thirds, Olympus 12 to 100, which doubled. It's really double. It's 24 to 200. That would be the only lens I carry.
So Jerry, a quick question somebody had was, how do I get my pictures from my iPhone to my iPad? I believe it's PhotoStream. Is that?
No, they'll automatically transfer, or you can AirDrop. If they don't automatically, mine automatically transfer. It's the way I have it set up.
Yeah, I wonder if
I think that you were explaining that earlier. It was one of the settings on your camera. I think that was one of your settings, right?
Yeah. So my pictures always carry over because I'm a total Apple person. It carries over to my photos and on my iPad, my MacBook Pro. It carries over to the iPad. All of them carry over right away, but you have to have them on Wi-Fi to do this. So if you've got Wi-Fi in your home, which you all have, you can set your Wi-Fi on the iPad the same as the iPhone. Now, if my wife has a picture that I want, or I have a picture she wants, we AirDrop them between each other. Does everybody with an iPhone know what AirDrop means?
Mhm.
If not, look it up. Go apple.com AirDrop, and you can set it up so that it will transfer over.
I think if it's set up correctly, you should just go into the same Photos app on your iPad, and they should just be there, and your camera roll there.
Yeah, it will automatically, if you have it set up right, it will automatically transfer over. And why on the iPad? Well, it's more real estate. It's a little bit easier. But today, for me to be switching to the iPad and the phone, it's a real hassle. In this way, everybody's got a phone, an Android or an Apple phone here. And you know, the one thing I didn't talk too much about, and Androids have had this, and a friend, I just got him going, and he's now doing infrared on his Android. And I did a demonstration for this in a large group at the Martin Arboretum in Lisle, Illinois. It's a large club of 300 people. And many of them that do infrared have a converted camera. I have mine converted from Live Pixel. And, but the ability to be able to do this mobily is just incredible. And once it's on your iPad, you could be sitting outside if you want to and work on it or whatever you want to do. I have Verizon because I was teaching a lot in Door County. And up there, AT&T just blanks out once you cross Sturgeon Bay, the bridge in Sturgeon Bay in Gulf County. It's a peninsula. It's a Chappaquiddick of the North, we call it. It's just a beautiful place. Fishing villages, boating, and it's basically surrounded by Lake Michigan. It's a really neat area. And
Jerry, we have just a couple minutes left, but I remember in the beginning I had mentioned about your iPhone mobile photography group. Maybe if you
yes,
just,
oh yes.
is that going to be in your notes or is that something?
Let me just tell you that I got permission from Apple, from the Photography Society of America. And they've given me the privilege of having Zoom from them, a big Zoom. And I didn't want the group to get too big, so I created two groups. One group meets at 7 o'clock on the second Monday of the month. We only meet once a month, the second Monday of the month. The other group meets on the second Tuesday of the month. I'll send something out to you about this.
Okay.
And the other one meets on the third Monday of the month. And they're all over the country. They're all over the country. Some are in Colorado, some are in New England, some are in Florida. Some of them they're all over the place.
What happens during the session? Is it a presentation?
And what we do, I tell everybody, if you're in the group, you have to share. If you did something outstanding, please share a picture, send it to me, I'll share it with the group. And we're learning more about mobile photography, more about different applications, different things. This is an iPhone group. This is not for Android. I'm sorry about that. Because we really get into things with Apple. How to find photos. You've got that magnifying glass. Just for fun, use that. Be sure you're in the big album. And then what you do, you go to the magnifying glass in the recent album and put in trees. Now, there some of them be kind of crazy. And these are all pictures of trees that you've taken or put in there flowers. And all pictures of flowers will show up. It's like incredible.
So if anybody's interested in joining this, how would they go about doing that? Is there a website to go to, or how does that work?
I will send you the information.
Okay.
I will send you the information, and it's for anybody. There is no fee, zero fee. I do this because I enjoy it, and the one thing about it, I say, if you learn something that I don't know, you have to share it with the group, so I can learn, and everybody else can learn. Because
I
don't
just
know
did
everything.
the trees and my mind is blown.
Mhm.
Isn't that amazing?
Amazing.
It is.
And there's some things like that that we didn't. I felt tonight we wouldn't get into all of that, but yes, it's just amazing. I thought I didn't know it existed, and then all of a sudden I started doing it, and gosh, there's a tree that I shot 5 or 6 years ago that I couldn't find the damn picture, and there it was.
That's
Oh,
great. That's great. That's for all of us. That's for all of us who don't organize, including me. Should
No,
organize.
but I was agreeing with Jerry. I have like 40 albums. I try to find one album and takes
Sure.
forever, and it doesn't automatically alphabetize the albums.
yeah, it's amazing. Then you can take that picture then and work on it and save it, and it'll save in a new area on your screen, or you put faces You can put faces in. It won't know family unless there's a name connected to it,
Mhm.
but you can put faces in. And oh my gosh, so some of those thousands of pictures you have on your iPhone, you can now play with, or your iPad or whatever.
That's great.
Very exciting.
Well,
Well, listen, I hope
Thank you.
everybody got some one thing out of it. There's something.
and we'll look forward to the notes, and I'm sure that it'll be good to go back.
And I'm going to send the notes to you.
Great.
And let me say that, and everybody understand this. As soon as you write something down, it's going to be outmoded. And so I haven't revised the notes since I think May or June. So now we're in October. And I thought the next time I change my notes, there'll be more with this for people that also have the 13 Pro, that it'll be notes about the 15 operating system, which I don't even know yet. I haven't
Sure.
really gotten into it.
Well, that's why maybe sometime in the future, we could have you back again, or if something.
Oh, yeah, whatever. Sure.
We'll see. Okay, that was great. We really do appreciate it. And we're getting close to the end. I'm going to get cut. I didn't realize I set it up till 6 o'clock, so it'll probably cut us off in a few minutes no, it's great. Thank you. And I'll look forward to the notes, and we do appreciate all your effort, and it was a great presentation.
Thank you very much, Jerry.
Well,
Jerry, thank you very much. We appreciate
I
it.
appreciate Bob asking me, and it's been my privilege. Thank you.
Great. We definitely learned a
It's
few
been
new
very,
things.
very, very informative.
Good.
Deborah,
Good.
Bob, Jerry, thank you so much. I loved it.
Good job.
Great,
We liked it.
Terrific.
And you've got a recording made so that
You got it. I'm going to actually just stop it right now, so I